translated that. That's the voice I used.
It's like, oh, and now that I'm a translator, I kind of pick what I read based on who translated it.
I definitely pay more
attention to it.
To that.
It's not necessarily like, oh, this person translated it and I know them, just this person translated it and I admire them. I think they're so cool.
Yeah.
They're so much cooler than me. Wait.
They're all cool. And you're cool too. So should we introduce ourselves, I guess?
I guess.
Now that we've...
Do I have to? Can I be anonymous?
Oh,
no,
it is
I can't.
No, I don't know.
I guess, well, I can go first then and spare you. Because I guess technically I'm the senpai. Somehow. It's amazing. I've still been doing it long enough to be the senpai. There were a couple times where I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Because when I started out, I was doing like Harlequin manga for the most part, and it's kind of you learn a lot from it, but it's not, it's not what you think, oh, I want to translate this when you start getting into it.
Yeah.
And then I started out working more for agencies, so there would be like a period of, like a month or a couple weeks where I wouldn't get anything, and I'd be like, am I still a translator? I don't know. Should I just go and find something else? But I'm going off on a tangent, so I said I would start. And I'm Amanda Haley, and I translate manga for a living. Yay!
Yay!
I don't really know what possessed me to do this. It was mostly chance, I guess, because I saw the manga translation battle contest that was on J-Manga, and it was the first one. It was it was in 2012. It was the first one, and they had like 3 different series that you could translate a chapter of. So one of them was Shindo, which is a manga about a young musician girl. Another was Chocolate Cosmos, which is the shoujo manga. And the last one was Capellion, which is a sci-fi manga about nuclear power and stuff. So I hadn't...
It sounds intimidating.
A little bit. I hadn't translated anything before. But it was kind of like, there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And I wanted, to practice translating. But I could never get myself to do it. Because, I don't know, there was, no deadline. I can't work with that deadline. So,
Me neither.
So I did all 3. Because you could submit for all 3.
Oh, wow.
And
Dang.
I got in for Capellion, which was kind of the one that I didn't think I would get anything for. And I still had a lot of room for improvement, but I think I got lucky that it was their first contest, so nobody else had really heard of it yet. So maybe the pool of translators was smaller or something, or maybe I'm just okay at translating.
Maybe
oh my god.
That good.
So that's how I started translating manga, because I won. I didn't, win like the overall grand prize, but I won for Capellion, which is a series I really grew to love because, it's very sentimental to me because that's what got me where I am. It was kind of...
Yeah.
So I did the... I'm just rambling on. So I did the first volume of that for J-Manga, and then J-Manga shut down. And I was like, my dream, my pipe dream, I lived it for a month and now it's over. But thankfully, it was terrible. Thankfully, it got picked up by Crunchyroll, and so I got to keep doing it. And then I got some more series from the agency that I was doing Capellion for Crunchyroll. And now I work for Yen Press too, and that's that, I guess. Hee.
Nice. Yeah, I also did the manga translation battle. I think it was the 3rd one. And I was not so ambitious. I honestly don't know if I could tell you what the other two series were.
I don't really remember that for that one either.
I just saw Nichijou and I was like, holy shit, I love Nichijou. So I saw it and I was like, well, that's awesome. I'm gonna do that. I had gotten like a bachelor's in Japanese like a year ago and had not done anything with it. So I was like, I might as well see if I still know any Japanese. It'll be fun. And because I found I had no chance, I kind of
you can just kind of have fun with it.
Went for
and be
it.
more creative with it. That's what I did too. I think that really helped.
Totally. I did like haiku and stuff. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I liked it. And I also had things that I didn't get right, but I guess I got them the least wrong.
Well, and I think as a beginner, there's always going to be stuff that you don't get quite right, but as long as you show that potential, then you're good. Because there's other people in the process who are going to check it through.
Mm-hmm. That's what editors are for.
That's what editors are for. The editors are great.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing.
Oh, and also my name is Jenny McKeon, and I'm the translator for Nichijou, and some other stuff.
And you just tweeted about finishing the 100th chapter of Nichijou, didn't you?
I did. It was adorable, and I love it. I'm finishing up volume 6 this month.
It always feels weird how far ahead you are translating as opposed to what's coming out.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at 1 and 2 right now, and I think 3 is out also.
I was looking at 1 and 2 also before we started.
Oh.
I was trying to find... There was something you did in volume 2 where you spelled what with a U, and I'm guessing it was probably just an in Japanese.
Oh my god, that is like the number one hardest single syllable. And there's a chapter in Nichijou, I forget which one it is, but basically the only dialogue in that whole chapter is just like,
That's so Japanese. That is so Japanese.
Like, oh, why? I feel like nothing in English is as funny as that. But if you just write then it doesn't really work. I feel like I usually use like some combination of like huh and what, and I don't know.
Anyways, I really liked that what with the U.
Oh, well, thank you.
I was looking for it because I wasn't sure if I got it from you or not because I kind of stole it. But that's something you do when you're translating. You look for what other people have done and how they've done it better than you, or in different ways than you, and you kind of try to incorporate that. It's very helpful.
It's looking good now. Yeah, I just, Barnes & Noble just had their, like, buy 2, get 1 free sale, and I picked up some stuff. And I hadn't really been buying manga for a while, because, I was a poor college student. But
I totally get that.
Now that it's my job,
I can buy manga again.
Well, this is research.
Keep a list of it and put it as a write-offs on my taxes.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I got that idea from an interview with the translator. Or I think, actually, maybe it wasn't an interview. It was like he had written some columns about how to be a translator. And one of the parts was keep track of everything that you buy entertainment-wise, because now you can write it off on your taxes.
Oh, man.
It is. Really I don't do a very good job of keeping track of it, though.
No, me neither. Oh my gosh. I'm so bad at that kind of thing. So when I started and everyone was like, you gotta keep track of, like, stuff now. And I was like, oh, are you sure? So now I have, like, my little Excel spreadsheet that's like, I got paid for this job on this day.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm bad at keeping track of this, but sometimes I also have to put, like, someone owes me this much for this job. And then I'll open it and be like, oh, I don't know if I ever got paid for that.
I print out all my invoices, and then I stick them in a folder, and when I get a check, I tear off the stub, and I staple it to the invoice, and then I put it in a different folder, which is paid invoices. And that's how I keep track of it.
Oh my
God.
God.
But I'm really bad at checking the invoices that haven't been paid and making sure that they're paid on time. And it's like, well, most people will pay on time, but sometimes, they run into issues where it might kind of get paid late, and I don't really want to email them, but you kind of have to because it's only fair.
Yeah, gosh. I haven't really had a problem with any of the manga companies that I work with so much, but after I did the first 3 of Nichijou for,
it was probably an agency or something.
Oh, Kadokawa. Like for the Japanese translator, for their, site or something. And then they weren't really continuing after 3, and then, I heard, on Anime News Network or something that Vertical had licensed it, and I was like, oh, can I come? And they're like, yeah, okay.
Oh, did you,
but that was a sidetrack. But there was, a 6-month period in between that where I was like, well, I guess I'm a translator now. What do I translate? So I was doing stuff on, Gengo and, weird random websites, and those, it was a lot harder to keep track of, because it would be like, this site owes me $100, this site owes me $20.
Well, especially when it's something small, it's a lot harder to keep track of. And then if you've totally forgotten about it, and it's been sitting around for forever, it's is it worth the time to track it down or not? And it probably is, but it's easy to fall into that kind of mindset where it's oh, it's a bother. I don't want to. I'm just happy to be translating.
Totally.
But it's not a good mindset to be in. Because you gotta pay bills.
No.
But I will admit to having thoughts like that. I'm
I know. I like it. It feels like I am somehow cheating at something. That I mostly enjoy what I do.
I feel like that too. I love...
I
love my job, so is it okay for me to get paid for this? I'm just kind of having fun all day. I mean, it's not all fun, especially when you get overscheduled. If you let yourself get overscheduled, because you're going to have so much fun doing things, but then you don't have time for anything else. That kind of sucks. But it's still very, it's a very fulfilling job. And I think part of that is obviously because I'm sure it was your hobby beforehand, just manga and anime and all that. And also because you're using your brain.
Of course. Yeah. Having worked extensively at retail and stuff, where you don't do that, it's very nice.
I used to work at a Subway.
Right, you said... I worked at Dunkin' Donuts and also at Michael's.
Yep.
And then there came a beautiful point in time where I was in the time that I'm standing here making under $10 an hour, I could be at home translating and making an actual living wage.
It's a wonderful feeling. I was not making very much over minimum wage because you just don't or didn't. I think that they're paying more nowadays that McDonald's is paying everybody $10 an hour, so everybody else has probably had to kind of step up their game a little bit. But I was making 25 cents over minimum wage, which was just awful.
Yeah. Actually, Massachusetts just raised theirs to, what was it, $9 or $10? And so I was making less than that. I was making more than the minimum of 8, but then when they raised the minimum wage, I was making minimum wage again.
Right, you're stuck in a...
I appreciate the wage, but also...
You get stuck in a trap where your only raises are when minimum wage gets raised.
And corporate sends out a letter nobody can get any more raises until reviews. And I was I'm not staying that long. So,
for me, getting rid of my day job, LOL, day job. Can you even call it a day job? I guess you can. It is a job, and it does take skill, even if it doesn't really feel like it. And your customers don't make you feel like your job is skilled, but you can be good at a fast food job.
Oh my god.
What was I saying? Right, so I think it was easier for me to quit my day job and go to manga full time, even knowing that it wasn't necessarily stable for me yet, which it is now, but back then it wasn't really.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much easier to make that decision because I was only making minimum wage anyways. So I was like, as long as I'm making the same thing that I would have made in minimum wage every month, then I will keep doing this. And if I don't, I can always just go find another dumb job. Hopefully I'll find a better one. But it's not like any job that I find will pay me less than this. So I may as well try.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm really glad that I did that.
It seems. Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I like before I was, translating officially, and just like wishing that I could do it in my head. I used to read a lot of interviews from translators and whatnot, and most of it would be like, you can't have manga translation as your full-time job because you're just never going to make that much money, which is probably true to an extent, but when you're coming from minimum wage, which, like, full-time minimum wage is, I don't know, like $11,000 or $12,000 a year. Like, every little bit makes a huge difference then.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I guess objectively maybe it's not that much money, but it's a lot more money than I'm used to making.
Me too.
So it's good enough for me.
Like, there are benefits to chasing the money, I guess, but for me, this is a very fulfilling job, and it's a job that I can do at home, which I appreciate the freedom of. So for right now, it is ideal for me, and I don't think I'd give it up for the world.
Yeah,
it's like a pipe dream of a pipe dream job.
It's like something that I had pretty much given up on as a possibility before I even like finished school, as like the reality set in that the
reality that there are so few people.
It's really hard to get a job.
And really part of it is about chance. Like being around when people are hiring and finding, that series that really fits you. By the way, Nichijou, like comedy is so hard. And the first volume of Nichijou is just kind of incredible. To me, anyways. I haven't read it in Japanese, but like the haiku and everything was like, oh my god. And the Buddha jokes, I was like, oh my god, I love you. I love you right now, and I want to be as awesome as you. Ha!
No, you are though. You do like Servant, which is so good.
Oh yeah, I did do that.
And
I can't remember everything that I've done at this point because.
Are you? Didn't I just see the second one came out?
So there were 2 omnibuy for it, and they're both out now. Yeah. The second one, I think, came out last month.
There were only 2?
Well, there were only 4 volumes in Japan. If you get it digitally, it's in 4 volumes. But if you get it in print, it's just split into 2.
I don't think I need it. I'll have to get the second one.
The second one is the last one.
Oh, man. I'm totally going to have to pick that up.
Please pick it up. Yay.
I mean, I was going to anyway, but I have a finite amount of space.
Oh, yeah.
So I tend to prefer, like, series that aren't super long.
I understand. And, well, you still have a finite amount of money, too.
Yep, and time. So all of it is just, like... I'm like, I love this, but do I 10 volumes on this?
I'm trying to buy more digital series because of, finite space. And when I was buying manga as a high schooler, I would read those books, like 10 freaking times. But nowadays, I usually just read something once and then I'm done. So there's no reason to have it sitting around.
Yeah, it's really weird buying manga as an adult because as a kid, you're like, oh, volume like 33 of Bleach, awesome, and you buy it. And now I'm like, sort of like hefting volumes in my hand, being like, how many times am I gonna reread this? Would this be worth my $10 that I could use to buy groceries?
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Groceries are nice to have, aren't they? Gotta eat.
Yeah.
And fuel your brain so you can translate more.
But I have a hard time, like...
You want to buy it all.
Reading...
I want to buy it all and I want to read it all, but I'm not going to.
And with digital manga, like... No, me too. I want all of it. And I probably should start buying digitally. But also I've been translating mostly from, like, ebooks lately. I don't know if you translate more from physical.
That's been an interesting thing for me because when I started out with Capellion and whatnot, they just gave me digital files, so I would translate for digital files.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing a bunch of Harlequin, I did like a ton of Harlequin. Like I can't even exaggerate how much Harlequin I did. That was all digital files, and I got so used to just having everything on the screen that now that I get print books, I usually go and buy the ebooks too. So I'll translate from both, really? Depending on how I feel at the time.
Mm.
And then when I'm like proofreading something, I'll usually do it with the physical book, just because that slows me down and makes me look a little bit harder. But yeah,
that sounds fun.
And if you're gonna read Japanese manga, buying on ebooks is so much cheaper. Oh, it's cheaper for English too these days.
I signed up for Bookwalker and stuff. And
I use ebook Japan. I have a ton of manga. But the one downfall with digital manga is that you're gonna end up buying things and then forget that you have it and not read it. Especially if it's things on sale. They do a lot of 100 yen volume 1 or whatever, volume 1 through 3,
God.
especially when it's a manga that has a new anime. They do a lot of sales. So if you read manga in Japanese and you do it through ebooks, you kind of end up amassing them. Unless you're really good about reading things as soon as you get them. That's what I've got to start doing. I have a ton of stuff.
I've got, already a digital pile of Steam games,
it's just like that.
I don't understand.
It's just like
I don't even, have time to play video games. But it's, this is $1.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a natural thing for us to do, I guess, because you see it as a value and, a limited time only. If you don't do it now, you're going to regret it later. That's what it is. It's the same for buying manga digitally.
That's the hole I haven't fallen into yet, just because after looking at an ebook all day, I'm kind of I want to look at it, not my computer now.
Yeah, I understand that too. Have you gotten eye strain yet? if you're translating from digital files. That's
not
good.
very much yet, but I'm sure it'll happen. I was translating mostly from physical ones, and then the last couple things I've done have all been digital.
I got it really bad, twice, and I swear I'm not going to let that happen again.
Oh no. It's a good thing we already wear glasses.
Oh yeah. With the the coating on it, that's supposed to be anti-glare or whatever for computer screens. I don't know if you have that. Mine is coming off of my glasses because they're so old.
I don't have that. I should get that. Oh no.
I haven't.
Oh gosh.
I haven't bought new glasses in a long time. I could now because I have manga money, but I'm so used to not doing that kind of thing after working minimum wage.
Yeah.
It's hard to be oh, I can do this now.
Yeah, it really is. My luxurious manga money situation was I can go to the dentist now.
Oh my god, me too. I started going back to the dentist again.
Yeah, and they're where have you been? And I'm I've been working minimum wage. Hello.
I didn't have insurance, I'm sorry. Actually, I still don't, but...
Oh no.
Oops.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 26 in September. So then I will be off the parents' insurance.
I don't know how old I am. I'm 27 now, so I've been off of my parents' insurance for a year and a couple months. And it's kind of I have to pay the penalties at the end of the year.
Oh no.
But is...
Well, I live in Mass, so I will probably just
It's...
But, yeah,
I've kind of been putting off researching.
So I was I should take care of all of the things that are wrong with my body.
Please take care of that.
Please
take care of yourself, because if you don't, then you won't be able to translate manga again. Please use an ergonomic keyboard. I mean it.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
I made my friend... Yeah, no, it's not. And, I draw a lot, so you would think that I would have been prepared, but I wasn't prepared. So I'm sewing, a little wrist.
That's good, because you're going to have it double. If you get wrist pain, you're going to be sad about pain when you're typing and pain when you're trying to draw. Oh.
Yeah.
This is like derailed into translator problems. Which is fine.
I know. Alright. Yeah. I don't know. I
think it's interesting. But I'm a translator. I'm just gonna chat about what I think is interesting, thanks.
It's definitely fun to compare notes, because I don't know many other translators.
And I think it's something that people don't really necessarily realize unless they're freelancers themselves, is when you're freelancing, you're kind of in your own void. I mean, you can talk to other translators on Twitter and stuff, but you're not necessarily, gonna become super close and talk on Skype all the time and stuff. Please chat with me on Skype. I love you. Sorry.
Not everyone can have our special senpai collaboration.
Oh, yay. And you get a book, you translate it, you send it off. You might talk with the editor a little bit about it, and then you're done. We don't really see, into the inner workings of the industry because we're freelancers.
Yeah. Sometimes I flip through something that I translated and I'm like, is that what I wrote?
You know what? That happens to me too. When it's been a while and I flip through it and I'm like, oh, that sounds so cool. The editor must have done that. That's not me, right? And then I'll check, and if it's me, I'm like, oh, yay. And if it's the editor, I'm like, oh, editors are so amazing. But I can't remember.
Yeah, oh my gosh. One of my friends the other day complimented a joke from Nichijou from Volume 3, and I was like, oh, thanks, and I looked and I'm like, that's not how I translated it. I did it way worse. This is way better. Well, I'll just take the credit for that. That's fine.
Well, it's a collaborative effort, and especially for something like comedy where your personal taste kind of is going to be big there. Jokes are hard.
Yeah. Jokes are hard. I like them, though. I've only just started doing more fantasy stuff, and gosh, it's very different.
Oh yeah.
Well, you do Arslan, right?
Yeah, fantasy-wise, I'm doing Arslan. It's amazing. It's also funny, and it's very interesting because it feels, it's by the lady who did Full Metal Alchemist, which is Hiromu Arakawa. And she's amazing.
She's amazing.
And the comedy, the sense of comedy in there feels totally like her. But the series, of course, was written by Yoshiki Tanaka as novels at first. And I think it started in, I don't know, the 90s or even the 80s. It's an old fantasy series. And I've been reading along in the novels, and it's kind of incredible how she's kept the sense of comedy that's in the novels. It's like they were kind of meant for each other. Because it just feels so much like her, and yet at the same time it's what he's written. And they just have the same sense of comedy. But Arslan is hard. Also, because fantasy talk and oh my god terms. Thank God that they give me a list of terms. But then sometimes there's one that's not on the list, and I'm like, no, please give me a spelling. But they're just like, do what you think is best. No, please, just give me a spelling.
Oh, I have to make my own term sheets for the one I just did, which was Isolator, Volume 3.
Isolator.
And now I'm starting. Oh, do you know Isolator?
Well, I haven't read it, but it's by the Sword Art Online guy, right? Yay!
Yep. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I came on in Volume 3.
Oh yeah, I also came on Arslan in Volume 4. And it's weird picking up on somebody else's series. But it's also really educational. I'm very glad that happened and that I didn't start from the beginning, because I learned a lot from it.
Yeah. I'm starting this next one from the beginning now. And I just did the manga. That's the one I did in a week. And now I'm doing the light novel that manga was adapted from. So that should be interesting. I feel like it'll be helpful to already know, roughly what happens.
Well, then you'll know what to look out for. And you have your basic terms down, and sometimes that's what takes the longest when you're starting a new series, and you have to figure out everybody's voice and the terms that are unique to the series. It takes forever sometimes.
This one, it's called Death March.
Oh yeah, that's one that started as a web novel.
But
I read part of the first volume of the manga of that.
Yeah,
isn't that one kind of shoujo-y?
There.
Kind of.
It's kind of like got some harem situation going on.
Oh wait, it's the guy who is like a video game developer or something, right? And then he ends up in the fantasy world from the game that he was helping develop.
Yes. So it's cool. I mean, like, I was skeptical at first, but it's kind of... I think the author himself is actually also a programmer, so you can kind of see that he is enthusiastic about that subject. So there will be whole pages, even in the manga, there's just whole pages of exposition about, like, how the world works and how, like, the food tastes, and, like, there was a whole chapter where he just, like, buys clothes and stuff, and I'm like, this is kind of great.
Well, I think part of that probably has to do with it starting out as a web novel. I think there's a tendency for them to be kind of slow at the beginning.
Yeah.
Since it's not like they start out with editors. Cool. They keep going and they get their readership and then they get picked up and then they probably have an editor that goes over it, but...
Yeah, apparently, I mean, of course there are differences from the web novel version, but they started the light novel adaptations like 2 years ago and there's like 7 volumes.
Light novels come out so fast. Even when they're not, when there's not the material already from web novels, they just come out so fast. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But it's very different from what I'm used to doing.
It's so cool. It's like the ultimate dream. You write your web novel, and then you get published, and then not only that, you're probably getting like an anime and stuff. There was an anime announced for that, right? Not yet. I think
not yet. But I would not be at all surprised. Yeah, no, I was like looking at it with a friend, and I was like, this is like this guy basically just posted like his original fanfic on his blog, and now like he gets like novels and manga and stuff.
I think it's part of the appeal of reading them too. Is like I could do this.
Probably, yeah.
I did a couple manga that started out as webcomics for Crunchyroll, like Momokuri, which has an anime now, and How to Keep a Mummy, which is incredibly adorable. And they're amateur in a lot of ways, but they are appealing. And I think Real Life is like consistent. I didn't work on it, but it's consistently like one of the most viewed Crunchyroll manga. If you look,
I need to get into that
I think
series.
that they're ordered by popularity, by default, and it's always right up there. And it's like, that's so cool.
It is really cool. It's so cool how like Japanese webcomics are becoming the basis for more comics or for shows and stuff. As someone who's also into American or like English language webcomics, it's very weird how differently they're treated.
Yeah, I used to read a ton of webcomics when I was, in like high school and late middle school. And looking at them now, the webcomics that are out there are just so much more professional looking. It's incredible, just kind of the community that's developed.
Yeah, it's really cool. But like I feel like they're still seen as kind of this niche thing.
Yeah.
And man, can you imagine if like animation studios here were like picking up webcomics and stuff?
Well, but we don't have as many animation studios, do we? I mean,
It's true. Maybe not.
I mean, like kids animation. There's probably a bunch of them. I don't really know.
Yeah, but I guess animation is also viewed differently since it's mostly seen as for kids still, even though they're like the most amazing things on TV right now are pretty much cartoons in my totally unbiased opinion.
Like I want to say that that's changing, but of course all the news that I read is like on anime sites and stuff, and my Twitter log is all anime fans and stuff like that. So my view of the world that I get to have isn't accurate. I see all the people posting Voltron fan art, and I'm like, oh, Voltron is big, but probably only in my circle that I pay attention to.
Yeah, Voltron and like Steven Universe and Gravity Falls was so good. Like, I tend to assume that most people know by now that it's, like, becoming a really good medium. But I guess there are probably still a lot of people who just kind of reject it because it's animated and therefore probably for little kids.
Oh, wow.
They're lost. And I think it'll continue to change slowly.
Probably. Well, I mean, video games have gotten a lot more mainstream, and all the superhero stuff has gotten a lot more mainstream. So yeah.
Sooner or later, somebody, either like maybe someone from our generation is gonna get older and like take over these industries, and then we'll see like questionable content in the movie or something.
We're just like talking about whatever. Yeah. So, what is one thing that you're working on that you feel like it just isn't very well known and you think that it deserves more attention? I think that for you, a lot of your stuff isn't out yet. You're working on a lot of things that aren't out yet.
So far, the fall is gonna be like the season of Jenny, because I feel like a lot of stuff is coming out. I think Isolator comes out in the fall, and some of the stuff I've done for Seven Seas comes out in the fall,
like October, I think.
Which, it's so good. I don't remember, but I think so. I did Galco for them.
That must have been an experience.
Please tell me Galco-chan. Oh my gosh, it was such an experience. I was like so skeptical about that cover, and I had actually started watching it before I found out I was translating it, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. And then I got the manga and I started it, and I'm like, this isn't so bad. And by the end, I'm like, Galco is my precious daughter. Do not talk to me.
Well, there's a reason that things get licensed. And especially when you're working on something, you're going to find something that you love about it, just to keep your sanity, or just because you're looking at it more closely than anybody else would.
Yeah, it's true. I love everything I work on, even if
except for Harlequin, but I don't do much of that
anymore. Even if
it's
not. Yeah, that's good.
It's Harlequin.
Is that a dark
time in my life?
Was it like those ones that go around on Twitter sometimes that are like, it was his mistake, but now I'm a slave to my boss?
Stuff like that. Billionaire guys and girls who like fall prey to them, and then there's too many like revenge plots, and that it drives me crazy. Sometimes I find ones that I do really like though, just because they're doing something different than other ones.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, I've got to stop thinking about this.
Galco's really great.
Galco, your daughter.
Galco, it's so good. I don't know if I can say this, but it's fine. I have a very strong theory that the author of Galco is actually a woman, and that Suzuki Kenya is a pen name. The more I read it, the more I'm like, there's just no way. Like, seeing the cover and seeing, like, the male name attached to it, I expected it to be very, like, sexualizing, but it's really not. Like, it really goes into a lot of, like, questions that high school girls might have about, like, their bodies and the world and stuff, in a way that I'm like, either you did a creepy amount of research, or you are a woman. And I'm gonna lean towards the second one.
From what I watched of the anime, that sounds like a solid theory to me. It's definitely it's just so different from the jokes that you normally hear about, female bodies and stuff.
Yeah, it really is. It's so good. Like, God, it's been a little while since I did the second volume, like a month or two ago. And God, like, with the turnaround and with working on multiple things, I feel like as soon as I send something out, it kind of just, like, vanishes from my brain.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in college and you, like, cram for a test and then forget everything.
Or then the class is over and it's like, you don't have the next class, like the advanced version of it yet. And by the time that class comes around, you don't remember anything, so you have to spend the first couple weeks reviewing.
Or like when you study Japanese, but then you don't use it for 2 years, so then you become a manga translator and you have to relearn kanji really fast.
It's okay. When I started Capellion, I think my Japanese was still kind of lacking, but research goes a long way. And just putting into hours.
God, my reading has gotten so much better.
My reading
so
has
quickly.
gotten way, 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 way better than it was before I started translating.
I get so excited when I look at a page and I'm like, I don't need to look any of this up.
Yay.
I know what this means. And it's like super basic and I shouldn't be proud of being able to read it, but
well, you should be proud though, because you put in a lot of time and hard work and passion into it. Be proud. Be proud.
But yeah, I did that, and I'm doing a whole bunch of Yuri for 7 Seas.
That's awesome.
But that doesn't come out till like next year, but it's awesome. I just finished today, actually. I finished Secret of the Princess by Morinaga Milk, who's like a Yuri legend, and it was adorable. It comes out on Valentine's Day, everyone.
That's the best.
I know.
I want to read more Yuri, cute. But I'm not really sure where to start. But I'm glad that it seems like most of the Yuri that's out in English is pretty short. So at least, like, it won't be like if I pick one up and it's not something that appeals to me, at least it won't be a big deal. I was reading Citrus, but I don't remember where I am in it. I enjoy that one.
Citrus is good. They also put out her big series was Girlfriends, which I think is just 2 omnibuy, and that's also 7 Seas. So that's a good one to start with, I think.
I will write that down. I already know I like Citrus, so is it racy at all?
I haven't read it in a while. I feel like it was a little bit, though.
It doesn't have to be, but, sometimes that's what a girl wants.
Yeah. I know. Secret of the Princess was pretty pure for the most part. But, it's so cute. It's one of those, like, it's one of those things where, like, it's a fairly typical shoujo trope, but because it's 2 girls, I'm like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. Where, like, the main character sees her senpai, like, break a vase. And so, in order to, like, she's like, I'll do anything you want if you don't tell. And she's like, alright, go out with me. But it's not for real, because I'm super straight. Don't worry. But she's not straight. None of them are straight.
I think it also worries me a little bit, because I know sometimes there's the trend of it being presented as just a phase in Japanese works.
Yeah, there is. I don't... I was a little afraid of that, but there was a really cute part at the end, and I don't want to ruin it, because it was the end, but it definitely defied that expectation, so I was pretty
Well, it's just always kind of a little disappointing if it does that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can put into words why, but clearly I'm not the only person who feels that way, so...
Yeah, no, it's totally a thing. I have so many thoughts on that. And on, like, gosh. But that is for another time.
Yes.
Because if I start
in talking for hours.
And, like, it'll be bad. Yeah. Do you have anything that you're working on? Or that's
I work on lots of things. I don't know how it happened. I do some series that are simultaneous publications, where it's, like a chapter a month or a week, and we're caught up with the Japanese release. And I kind of love doing that, even though the turnarounds for them are really, really fast and kind of scary sometimes. But I get to read it before everybody else, and that's awesome. It is awesome.
That is really cool.
I do that for Arslan. And I love Arslan, so that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I do that for The Royal Tutor, which is a series that I absolutely love and look forward to every month. It runs in the same magazine as Black Butler and the magazine that Pandora Hearts was in. So that's Stew Fantasy Magazine. And it's about a royal tutor who's tutoring for princelings who all have, their unique problems and their personality traits. Like one's like really shy and can't talk to people, and so he scares everyone. And one's like a total brat. And one's just not serious at all, and one's way too serious. And I love it. And I wish it had more attention.
That sounds precious. I don't have...
It pretty much is precious. Except that I kind of wish that the plot would move forward a little bit faster, because sometimes it tends to be, the one caper a chapter. Like, let's go to the zoo, or let's have a picnic.
Especially when you're reading something like a chapter at a time, you're like, well, I waited a month for that, and nothing happened.
It's slowly moving forwards, and I think it's probably going to be a fairly long series. And I really hope that it is, but at the same time, I want to see action happen. It's really pretty, too. It's gorgeous. And part of what I love about working on series that, aren't over yet is seeing how the art evolves. Mm-hmm. And the art has definitely evolved in that one to just be so much prettier.
Neat.
I love it. I love it.
I'm gonna look it up.
That's the one.
That one
is actually for Yen Press, and it's not on Crunchyroll. So you have to pay for each chapter. But if I had to pick one that I want to have lots of attention, it would be that one. And the second one, if I have to pick one on Crunchyroll that I wish would have lots of attention, it would be Cuticle Detective Inaba. The weirdest series ever.
Didn't that have an anime a few years ago?
When the anime series was coming out, I looked at the synopsis and I was like, what? No thanks. Bye. Yeah.
Me too,
it's a really weird synopsis, but it's a hilarious series. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible. Because it is so out there.
I will look that up too.
And a lot of the humor is visual humor, and it's just great. It's very hard to translate.
That's great.
But I love translating it because it's just extra fulfilling to get all those jokes.
Mm-hmm. When you come up with the perfect equivalent for a pun, you're like, yes, I am a comedy genius.
The main character of this manga is a werewolf who's obsessed with hair, and he's also a masochist. So he'll make a bunch of hair puns and stuff like that. And it's like, no, please stop. But it's really fun to do because it's just that crazy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, it gives me energy doing it.
Nice.
And I wish more people would read it.
Yeah.
It's almost over, sadly. It's also in that magazine with The Royal Tutor and Black Butler. I really like that magazine.
Do you know
G Fantasy?
Which magazine is it?
It's a Square Enix magazine.
Oh.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, I know that one.
With all the pretty boys. Okay. Maybe that's why I like it. There are lots of pretty boys. It's kind of definitely probably geared towards girls.
It's nice how most editors seem to kind of figure out what your thing is.
Oh yeah.
And it's nice basically getting series that are catering to your
actually
interest.
I've noticed that.
So I love comedy and Yuri and moe and stuff. And
I like moe too. Awesome. And then, it's I like moe. I've always liked moe just because the art is so cute. But then I also like the seinen, action, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever series because I grew up with that too. So it's kind of I kind of wish I had a little bit more of that, but I love the moe cute stuff. Give me more gorgeous, beautiful art.
I was gonna say, if someone asks you to do a moe and you don't want it.
No, I want all the moe. Stop it. You can't have it.
Fine. I think there's
You're
enough
right about
to go
editors knowing what you like, though, and I'm like, because every time I've been given a series where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this, but of course I'm going to do it, And And then I've read into it, I've been like, oh my god, this is perfect. This is something that I have to do right now. And I love it. There was recently one of my editors was like, I think you're gonna just be dying to do this series. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it looks cute. And then I started doing it, and I love it so much. I just want to do... I don't want to work on the book that I have to work on now. I want to do more of the Moe series that I love. It's so cute.
I love them. Yeah, I always like, when I have multiple deadlines, I usually like save Nichijou for last, because I'm like, I love this. And, yeah. Except now, I'm going on vacation, like, tomorrow, and I still have to finish, like, 30
It's
days.
okay. Well, you've already done, you've done more than 1,000 pages of Nichijou, right? So, I think
Lord.
you've probably got a group going on where you can knock that stuff out and have it be cool. Once you...
God, it's so
It's always
good.
hard to start a new series, but once you get past a certain volume number, it's kind of like, well, I know how to do this series. And you just kind of sit down to do it, and suddenly it's done. It's like, what? What did that happen?
Yeah, that's nice. Gosh, I just finished things, and now I can't even remember what they were. I was trying to think of what else I have worked on recently, and I'm like, I don't know, because they're over, so now...
They're over, and you've moved on to whatever you're doing now. Yeah.
My, 14-second memory.
Well, it has to be like that, kind of, when you're switching from series to series, because you just have to get in the mood for that series and forget about everything else. I used to usually, when I didn't have that much work to do, I used to just have, one series going on, and because it was work for Crunchyroll and Bookwalker, it would just be start with volume 1 and go all the way up to the end. And that's kind of fun in its own way, because you get so into that one series, that's the only thing you're working on, and you just get faster at it, and you're so absorbed in it, you know exactly how each character sounds. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
but
it's fun.
You kind of... You can get overloaded, too. Variety is good, too.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard every time you switch. Sometimes there's a mood whiplash.
Yeah. When I first got offered, or got asked about doing Isolator, and then when I got asked about Death March, both times I was like, but this
so
is,
different.
Not that cute and all I care about is cute things. And Alex is like, first of all...
Thanks, Alex.
He wasn't like that, but he's like...
Calm down.
Logically. Calm down. You still get to be translating something super cool, and I'm sure you're going to end up liking it. And I always do.
Well, it's intimidating, too, to do a new genre, or just a new series in general. It's like, can I still translate this? Am I capable? I don't know.
Yeah, when all I was doing was comedy, he would ask me, my partner would ask me, in the car, he'd be like, but wouldn't you ever want to do, fantasy or something? And I'm like, that sounds hard. So, But now that I'm doing it, I'm like, no, this is cool.
Everything has its own difficulties, but comedy is probably the hardest. So you started out with the hardest thing. Well, I guess fantasy and sci-fi is probably the second hardest to me. Just because you've got to learn the rules of that particular world.
Oh my god, the first chapter of Isolator Volume 3 took place at a nuclear power plant. And so I learned so many terms that day. I had to learn a whole bunch
about nuclear power for Capellion, but at the same time, in every volume, it would have the disclaimer that some of these terms are dumbed down so that people can understand them. Some of them aren't actually the words that would be used. So that was like, oh.
To which I'm like, thank you. I don't want to. Yeah. God, I would be turning a page and there's just a 7 kanji compound and I'm like,
what is this?
I came out here to have a good time. I'm feeling so attacked right now. But once you know at least what it starts with, you're like, alright, nuclear reactor. Okay.
And that's part of the hard part about starting any new series too, is that there are going to be so many new words.
Yeah.
Just that particular author uses.
Mm-hmm. Oh, every author has words that they use, like, all the time. And it's kind of fun, like, learning their quirks and stuff. But I'm also, like, there are some that they use so often that, like, if I translated it the same exact way every time,
terrible.
It would sound terrible.
I don't remember the exact figure, but the number of words that are commonly used in Japanese is way lower than the number of words commonly used in English. So
that makes sense.
Have to use a variety.
Yeah.
Or it's going to sound terrible in English.
Yeah. I was relieved when I first saw that in a style guide.
Telling you explicitly, you can do this. Please do
avoid
this.
Being repetitive.
It's nice
and I'm
to
like,
have permission.
Because sometimes, sometimes I'm just so worried about sticking as close to it as possible that I have to, like, step back and be like, this is not going to sound good if I just translate this.
Sometimes it's hard not to fall into that trap if you're not paying attention as much.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that gets me is the use of quotation marks, where we wouldn't use them in English, but they're using them in Japanese.
Yeah. Like for emphasis, or like to make a term
sometimes
look cooler.
I accidentally still put them in, and then I forget to take them out, because it just looks normal to me, because I'm used to seeing it in the Japanese manga. And then later when I see it, I'm like, oh, shit. I actually don't want that in there, but I mean, it's not like it ruins anything, but if I'm, being a perfectionist at the moment, it's like, why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
It looks terrible.
Oh, no.
It didn't look terrible at the time, but it looks terrible now.
Oh, that's the worst.
And the same for ellipses.
Oh my God.
I use too many
many
ellipses. Because, well, if I'm working on a series that has a lot of ellipses, I just kind of end up putting a lot of them in, because it just starts to look normal to me.
Yeah, you start to, like, forget what English is actually supposed to look like.
Well, and it's like, well, it looks good in this Japanese volume for this one bubble to have two, 6 periods, but, like two sets of ellipses.
Yeah.
And like so it looks fine in the Japanese, so let's just put it in my script as that. And then when I look at it later, I'm like, I could have gone. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but I could have just gone with one. But 2 sets of ellipses, it's a longer silence than 1 set of ellipses, isn't it? It's different. No, wait, what am I thinking? I don't know. It's kind of like it doesn't entirely matter, but you wonder about it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My headphones are starting to hurt my ears. So, I might have to wrap up soon. And also, I might have to buy better.
It doesn't matter. We can wrap up. We've just kind of been chatting, which is fine, because honestly, I don't know, I'm a nervous person. I don't talk to people very much, so I'm like, oh, what am I going to say? Is my voice still going to work? I don't know. What if I try to open my mouth and nothing comes out?
Yeah, we just spend our days pretty much at home, like, not talking. So it's nice to talk to another people person.
Out there. Sometimes I go outside.
Yeah.
Like I'll be inside, and then it's like 10 p.m., and I'm like, did I go outside today? I don't remember. Then I go outside, and it's like, oh my God, look at all this space. The air, it moves.
Yeah, I use Habit RPG, and now it's Coffee and I have to have a daily that's
go
like,
outside. I need
go outside. So I usually go on a morning little
blogs.
I've
needed a reminder for that too. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And I also try to walk into. I live pretty close to town, so I try to walk into town at least once a week and do some work there. And I'm always just like, wow, look at me in the outside world, ordering a coffee
like a normal person,
like an adult,
like a human being. Sorry, you're a human being.
I'm like, they don't know that I'm just translating fucking comics. And then I'm like, oh, that guy knows, because he just looked at my screen.
Oh.
Sorry, that guy.
It's funny when you're translating something in public, and suddenly there's a sex scene.
Yeah.
Or just a naked girl scene.
Or even just anything that's
like,
gonna
it's
look
like, uh-oh,
suspicious.
should I make sure that there aren't any children around? I don't know. Or am I gonna get yelled at?
Yeah, I was in Barnes & Noble yesterday as I was finishing up on Secret of the Princess, and there was suddenly just, like...
Naked.
You know... Yeah, like, not even fully naked, just, like a torso and, like, a bra. But there was, like, so much text there, so I'm, like, kind of scrolling down to read it, and then, like, scrolling back up real quick. Like, I'm sorry, everyone. Because there were, like, tables behind me, and I'm like, I promise you
Please don't look.
Or anything. I'm a professional.
I translated, like, 2 volumes of porn. I think. It was really weird. The weirdest part is the sound effects.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The weirdest part of the sound is the sound effects, and I hope that my parents don't find out. No, I'm kidding. They won't. It's digital only.
But yeah. Oh, we didn't introduce our podcast. Well, this has been Translator Tea Time. I guess if we have listeners and you have any, like, things that you want us to talk about, you should tell us somehow. I'm sure there are ways. There's probably, like, a post you can comment on. Or you can tweet at us. Maybe. You can tweet at me. It's fine.
Wow. But were you drinking tea?
I was afraid that it would, that then I would be, like, slurping on the microphone. Because I thought about it
too, but all I have tea, but it's iced tea, and it's from McDonald's. So it's, like, terrible tea. Well, it's not terrible, but, you know, it's not, like, it's not quality.
Let's drink tea next time. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We'll drink some tea next time.
Okay.
It'll be good.
It was totally random.
Well, that was fun.
Which is fine.
Yeah. I lost it a little. That's okay.
Oh.
I still want to talk, but I'm afraid that I'll use up all of my interesting topics.
Oh God. I don't know if I have any other interesting topics. That's very questionable. Because reasons.
It's alright. We can talk about Moe forever. I have so many thoughts.
That's good. I guess I've found out that I can speak words from my mouth. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm prepared. Oh,
you did
thank
a good
you.
job.
Konbarimashita.